Hello, everybody. My name is Josh. We're the founder and director of El Terreno Cultural Exchange Center here in the Ecuadorian Andes. It's great to be here again for another intern presentation, final presentation, this time with Louise Faes from Belgium. She joined us a few weeks ago. She's back home now, just getting over her jet lag, I believe, after having spent 6 weeks with us, going on some amazing adventures through the mountains down into the Amazon jungle to learn more about indigenous cultures, which are often fairly hidden from our Western way of life. So she's been exploring and getting to know local families and documenting their way of life to be able to share it with us. And she's going to tell you more about what she was up to, how she was able to share it with the local communities and the local people here in Ecuador. And now she's uh, we're very grateful, very fortunate to have her here that she can share her stories online for even more people in the world to find out what she's done. So without further ado, Louisa, over to you.
Okay, hello, I am Louise and I'm a student photography from Belgium. And for this project with El Terreno, I did an anthropology photography project that in the end got the name Teijdo and it became an exhibition. So yeah, I will tell you more about it. Yeah. So the purpose of this project for me was visit and learn from different communities in the different climates because Ecuador is very small on a geographical scale, but it's crazy how many like climates are there. You have the Andes, you have the tropical jungle, the coast, everything on such a small place. And I really wanted to find out how people live their culture, especially the indigenous cultures, just the way they live, how they cook, how they get through the day, all that. And in this project, I had someone, an architect, Greta, joining me, and she was really interested in the housing, so the architectural side of everything was also really interesting. I was following her project a bit as well, and I learned a lot from that as well. And in the end, I wanted to bring people together through a photography exhibition and just learn from each other and have conversation about it. So yeah. Yeah. So the different areas I went to in the Bolivar province, Salinas, Simiatuk, and Natawa, and Chimborazo as well. And then I also went to the Amazonia. These are the areas that got also showed in the exhibition. On the other hand, there were also a few places I went to that were not used in the exhibition, and that was in Bolivar, Guaranda, and Chazo Juan. And then at the coast, it was Puerto Lopez, Agua Blanca. And I did not ending up using this for the exhibition, but I am very grateful and happy I went there because in the end of the day, it was also just very nice to see and learn and not per se to take pictures of everything. It also just be there and learn because being there, I think, teaches you more than just reading about it or, yeah, all that. So our adventure starts in Simiatuk, in the Bolivar province. And there, me and Greta had a contact with Cornelia, and she was this Swiss woman that had lived there for most of her life. Very interesting. And she worked with local women for like handicrafts. Yeah, and she knew a family. The woman you see that was cutting sheep's wool, her name is Angela, and she showed us around in the community with her husband as well, showed her like the working place where they made bags, handbags, also a little farming house where they stored crops. They just showed us around and really told us a lot about how they live and their culture, and it was amazing people. We had a great time. We spent, I think, 2 days there. And we also went to a market. But at the market, we kind of had a problem with the photos because not a lot of people were really happy that we were there with a camera. And out of respect, I don't think it's nice to just push a camera onto someone. So on the market, we had a little look around, but we were very happy that we could actually go with Angela, who was happy to show us around, and we could take pictures of anything. So yeah. Then after that, we went to Salinas, and that was also in the Bolivar province. And there we had a contact with a hostel owner, Lenin. We did like in that area, we did the tour, and we did like salt mines, chocolate factories, cheese factory, textile factory, just all of the local factories. It was very nice. We learned a lot as well. Um, we also got in contact with the older lady and her grandson. His name was Kevin, and we got to go milk the cows in the morning and also bring it to the cheese factory and like see what every morning they have to do, which was also very nice. And yeah, it was very cool to be able to be a part of that and actually help and go with them from beginning to the end and see what happens. And yeah, that was really cool. Um, and after that, we also went to Samiaku, which was also an eco house, like Eco Aldea, which was an eco village, which was very interesting, especially for Greta. For me, I did not really use it for the project, but for Greta, it was very interesting to see the housing in those places. Yeah, so yeah. And then also I went to Chimborazo. I wanted to stay here the night actually at first, but due to a lot of circumstances, I just did the hike in a weekend, and I was even thinking about not taking my camera because we were just gonna do the hike, but I'm happy I did. And we just had beautiful views, beautiful nature. We were very lucky that it was a sunny day. We didn't really meet local people, which is kind of a shame because I would have loved to actually meet local people. But in the end, it was just the nature was beautiful, and it was just I was very happy to be there. Then also in the Bolivar province, Natawa, Lenin knew this village. It's a village at 4,000-meter height, and it's a very high place for people to live. There is no option for farming. It's there can grow no crops, I think. So it was also kind of, since I didn't really meet a family at Chimborazo, I was very happy that I could meet actually a family that also lived on a very high altitude. And in this village, we met with Magdalena, and it's the lady in the picture actually. And she happened to be there next to her shop, and we had a good talk with her, asked some questions. At that time, Greta was not there, so Lennon was happy to translate. Very grateful for that. So we had some talks with her. She showed us around, showed us where she milked the cows as well, because she did have some cows. And then also her little shop. And yeah, so it's very nice. In the Amazonia, me and Greta were very lucky that Greta could contact through other people. She got in contact with a local family there, with a girl that moved to the city Lago Agrio, and her family was still living in the Amazon in a community, and we got to live there for a week, and it was very nice because the family did not really care we were there. They they kind of ignored us, but in a nice way, that they were not trying to keep us busy and be like, oh yeah, the tourists need to see this and that. No, they just did what they normally do, and we got the chance to go around with them, follow them around. So that was actually ideal for what we wanted in the project. We got to meet a lot of people, the family, also different communities. We went fishing with them, went to watch the sunset. They taught us a lot about the plants and just how all the communities were formed. And then the brother formed this community, and it was very interesting. So yeah, that was the adventure in the Amazonia. And then the areas that we went that were not used in the end for the exhibition, in Guaranda, we went to a cafe called Siete Santos, which was very interesting because we got a lot of the history of Ecuador. Like the owner told us a lot about the history, and it was very nice because we had a lot of background information because of that. And it was very nice coffee as well. So especially that was, I mean, it was not a waste of time at all. It was very nice. But the thing was with the cafe, they had a lot of masks, but we were more looking for families and how they live, so we did not really end up using it, but it was just very nice to have all the information. And then also Chazojuan, which is also a tropical part, was very interesting, but I feel like we had too little of time there to actually get to know someone. We did not really have the chance to really get to know someone there, so that was kind of a shame. But it was still nice to be there and see because we walked from Salinas to Chazojuan, and it was crazy how the climate when going down changed so much in such a short amount of time. So that was also really nice. And then also Puerto Lopez at the coast in Agua Blanca. Also, I think not enough time maybe because this was happening in the last week I had to take pictures. And the day I was in Agua Blanca, I think there was a community meeting somewhere else because there was nobody there. But still, I'm very happy I went because I was still at the coast and I still got to learn. I just I did not really see what I was going for, but in the end, it was still nice to visit and be there and just look around. And maybe we didn't, like, I did not really meet a family, but in the end, it was just nice to have been there and actually also see, oh, okay, like this, it's here and like that, it's there. What I learned from all the traveling is the language barrier was a problem, but that's why I am so grateful to Greta. She translated everything people said to me and I said to people, meanwhile doing her own project as well, which is crazy because that was, yeah, a lot of work. And I feel like we traveled a month together, and I feel like in that month, because I heard so much her talking to other people, I kind of learned like the basic of Spanish. And that's why in the 2 last weeks it was possible for me to travel alone, but still it's a shame that I feel like I could not make the same connection with someone than I could when she was there because we I don't understand enough, and with Google Translate it's just not the same. So I think my Spanish should have been a bit better before I came to Ecuador. Also, I think connection with what the people that were photographed are way more important than the picture itself or the end product. And also that's why we would like really want to spend time with people, get to know them, and actually see a story behind the picture instead of just a pretty picture and it's pretty because it's just the lighting is good. We really wanted to know the people that we took photos of, and that was, I think, the nicest part of it. And also connections. I think I'm very happy that Joshua had a lot of connections to send me, especially in the Bolivar province because as I said in Agua Blanca, he also did not have a connection. I did not have a connection, and maybe I could have known about the community meeting or the fact that they were just not there if I knew someone there. And I think it's very hard to just go on your own without a connection. The same with the Amazon, we could have not gone there if we did not have someone that knew the place. So that was also a very important part to everywhere have someone that actually knows the place and can guide you around or just tell you like, oh, this is what's up here. And yeah. Then the pictures that I used for the exhibition in the end, I chose three formats. One of them was A0. These were the biggest pictures. And for the exhibition, I chose to do one side actually tropical and the warmer climates, and on the other side, Andes, more colder climates to just show the big differences. And I think these two were like very cold, very warm, very, yeah, I don't know. Just it was nice to see them next to each other. So Chimborazo is on the left, and then there was a sunset in the jungle with the fog, and that is the one on the right. Then the next format I chose was A1, and then I put on the side of the Andes two pictures of Natawa. The first one was a lady that was carrying her child home, and she was getting the llamas of a field. We did not really have a lot of talks with her, but it was more Magdalena that pointed her out. Magdalena is a picture on the right, that we met there next to her shop. So that, yeah, that was that. And underneath is the part of the jungle, and there was this group of kids playing in a river. And it's a sequence. It's nice that like in one picture he still has a stick, and in the other one he runs away. And we just happened to walk by that community, and they did not care we were there. They just kept playing and even looked at the camera at some points. So that was really amazing. Then I also chose for the format A3. And on the one side, I have a picture of the little girl and also the woman on the right with the shovel. And they were in Guanuco harvesting potatoes. Um, sorry, in Atandawa, harvesting potatoes. And the girl especially really caught my eye because she looked so intense in the camera. And I don't know, that was the first photos I actually took for the project, so close to the house. That was really nice. And the picture in the middle is Angela's husband, who was harvesting corn that we ate that day as well for lunch, that we cooked with Angela. So yeah, that's that. And on the other side are three pictures that are all from Amazon. First one is some piranhas that we caught as bait to catch some other fish. The other one is a parrot that I think is very interesting picture because he has the exact same colors as a banana. His beak is yellow and then his feathers are green as well. And then the last picture is a little snake that we found outside of the house that one of the people just got to take a picture, and it was very special to see it from so close. And then the last pictures on one side, it's also Amazonia. It's the father of the house that was doing the dishes, and they always had to wait until it rained to do them. So that was just very interesting to see how like they just built their house. Also very interesting for Greta, built their house in a way that it rained perfectly onto the sink, and then they just waited because every day there was like this one big moment where it rained, and then they would just do their dishes and all of that. And in the picture next to that is the mother of the house that was squeezing out the yucca plant to make a dough that we also ate for lunch that day. And then on the upper side is a little pig that was in a bag in a camioneta on our way to Salinas. And it was just in this bag, and sometimes this bag started moving, and I thought it was strange and that I was just a bit tired or something. And then his little nose came out of the bag, and I was like, "Oh, I need to take a picture of it. That's very funny actually." And that's how that picture got there. Then also the one next to it is also in Natawa. And it's the skin of a sheep drying over a pole. I don't really know the story of that. It was just, I think, a very interesting image. And the one next to that were some women that were cutting off the sheep's wool. That was on their way from Simiatuk to Salinas. Um, that was very like they just used scissors, and it was going so slow, but it was a group of women, and they were just talking and taking their time, and it was just nice to be a part of that, or just be allowed to be there and be there with them and just be part of the conversation, and it was very nice. So for the exhibition itself, I needed to find a space, and the options that were given kind of was the museums La Guitarra and the museum Indio Guaranja. And with La Guitarra, it was a room with a lot of windows, so it was kind of hard to figure out how I was gonna hang the pictures. So that was kind of off limits already. And then Indio Guaranja, also very interesting museum, but for me, for the pictures, it was a bit too dark because it's no windows and they just use lights from the roof. But I wanted something with natural light as well. So then I ended up in Casa de la Cultura Ecuatoriano Núcleo de Bolívar, and that place I think was ideal. The only problem was for me, I was not allowed to stick things on the wall, so I had used fish thread and duct tape on the back of the pictures and just printed it on way thicker material. The material in the end, I think, was um, what's the name? Cardboard, yeah, and then with a picture over it. Then also find a place that would do the printing. There are a lot of printing places, but I ended up with the one that Casa de la Cultura actually suggested, which I'm happy I went for because yeah, I did it all in one day, so it had to go right from the beginning. And then also advertisements. I made some flyers for yeah, to just make advertisements. And Joshua also made some advertisement online, which really helped. And also the my contact in Casa de la Cultura made sure that there was also an other event going on of I think it was a class for something for kids, so that it could combine as well, that there was not gonna be no one, so that there was at least gonna be the kids from the class. And then also, of course, the editing that took a lot of time and deciding the sizes of the pictures and where everything was going to go. Then in the exhibition, I had some little problems the day because I did the hanging, the printing, and the exhibition opening in one day, which was really not a good idea. And it was my own fault because I really wanted to travel till the end, which was really not a good idea. But in the end, it was fine. Yeah, there was also, they expected me to do a speech which I was not really prepared for. But in the end, Joshua really helped me translating because I could have not done it in Spanish, but we did it in English. So that was fine. And then we also just brought some snacks and drinks for the people that came and make sure that like the atmosphere was nice. And yeah, that was my presentation. Thank you.
Fantastic, Louisa. Thank you so much for sharing that presentation with us. So we can go on to a few questions. I've got a couple of questions to start with. Um, yeah, the first one, I thought was really interesting, you know, the diversity of places that you went to and going to indigenous communities, but obviously how they're influenced by their climate and their environment, all that sort of things. So what would you say the biggest differences were between the those communities? And actually, perhaps what I'm more interested in is what do you think the biggest similarities were between those communities in different climates?
I think the similarities, which I was very surprised by, was how much they held on into like the indigenous culture. Like the people I met just really a lot of people did not want to modernize, and it was very interesting how they held on to their own like how do you say that? How they held on to their own like ideas, ideologies, all of that. That was very interesting. And the biggest differences, I think, mostly was that in the tropical parts, people were much less shy than people in the colder parts, which was kind of easier for photography because it took less time to convince people like, oh, hi, I'm here with you. And sometimes in the like the colder parts, people felt kind of watched, or with the camera, were not very comfortable. So I think that, yeah.
Thank you. Very interesting. Just want to see whether anyone else on the call would like to ask a question. Andrés, no sé si tú tienes una pregunta.
Sí, sí, por aquí estoy. Estaba pensando en la pregunta. De hecho, me gustó bastante la respuesta y más que todo la forma de ver cómo se pudo apreciar acá lo que es la biodiversidad aquí en la provincia y también en la Amazonía. Yo tenía una consulta. ¿Cuáles son los principales desafíos que encontró ella para llevar a cabo el proyecto? ¿Y cuáles son las principales diferencias que pudo apreciar ella en cuanto se refiere a la cultura andina y a la cultura de la Amazonía, a más de los estilos de vida?
Yeah. So first of all, he said he really liked the presentation and he really liked the everything you did regarding your project and learning about the different cultures. He was saying, what was the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome that?
The biggest challenge in the project or the
Yes,
traveling or?
in the whole
Okay.
project.
Uh, in the whole project, for me personally, I never did something like this fully on my own. I loved it, but there was times I was just like I have no clue what I'm doing. And in the end it was all fine, but I think that was like I had some days that I was like I have no idea what I started, and I kind of lost my like idea of what I wanted it to be. In the end it was all fine, but just some days were really confronting with the fact, oh, this is the first time I'm doing this and I actually don't know fully what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Great, thank you. What I was really interested in was that the presentation that you just gave, you gave the story behind the pictures, and some of those stories I didn't know, and that really helps to enrich my understanding and the meaning of the pictures. Have you had any thoughts about how you could communicate that more in a future exhibition so that when someone looks at a photo, they could also understand some of the story behind it?
Yeah, I would like next time to put more than a title and just a small, not very long as well, not the way I just explained everything, but just a small like way of saying what was going on, of who these people were, because I feel like with the printing I did not end up having enough time to do all that as well, which is kind of a shame because it would have been nice indeed for the public to see, like this is this and this is how she got there, and yeah.
Mhm. Nice. And one final question. I thought it was really interesting the you're talking about how you're trying to really get into the communities, and some communities it was easier than others. And what you were really looking for was, like in the Amazon, you were able to just observe people living their daily lives and document it in a respectful way, but also kind of being able to be a bit of a fly on the wall and that sort of thing. If you were to have done your project all over again, or if you've got an advice for someone who wants to do a similar project, what advice would you give to have a more successful result?
I think I would say like I said about the contacts, make sure you know someone that lives there or knows something about the place, so you have some background and something to stand on when you go, or just maybe that's a way to meet other people, because it's very hard to just go on the street and be like, oh hi, can I follow you for a day? Not a lot of people say yes, so it's nice to have some idea of where you're going, and yeah, I think that.
Nice, great, thank you. I want to say, like, for me, a fantastic project. It's the first time that we've done a public exhibition in this way, and I was really pleased to see that up and to see people coming and showing curiosity and interest during your exhibition. So congratulations for that. And then there was also another invitation which came out of that exhibition. Am I right?
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more?
Just I think so after actually the exhibition was almost over, and there was this lady that worked in the library of Guaranda, and her husband happened to be Belgium, and he saw that there was going to be a Belgian exhibition, so he immediately came, and we switched out numbers and email address, and we are in contact to maybe do an exhibition in Belgium soon as well. So we will see. There's nothing planned yet, but it would be amazing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, I think it's a really fascinating project, and no doubt it was difficult in many ways, but that's often what these sorts of projects are about, because you push yourself way outside of your comfort zone from a small village in Belgium to come across the world and just and dive into different cultures and different environments, and then put all of that in an exhibition in just 6 weeks. It's a very short amount of time. So yeah, and with a limited amount of Spanish, so I can understand that it must have been difficult at some point. But I hope you now feel more confident, and you've been put through some trials, but at the other end of it, you've got more confidence both in your own abilities and just to know what's possible and what you can achieve. So I want to wish you all the best going forwards with your continued study in photography, and I hope that this has been an enriching process for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a great experience. I'm really happy everything got in place in the end. So yeah.
Yeah, it all came together. Well, thank you
Yeah,
very
it all
much. Thank you very much, Louisa. Thank you everyone for joining us today. An absolute pleasure, and wishing you all the best until we meet again.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.